Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a legendary battle of wits from a classic Indian folktale, and honestly, it's one that still holds massive relevance for how we approach learning and personal growth today. We're going to unpack a really famous encounter in the court of King Krishnadevaraya, featuring his most renowned and incredibly sharp-witted courtier, Tenali Rama. If you love a good intellectual showdown where brain power completely outmaneuvers sheer arrogance, you are absolutely in the right place. We've got a fascinating slide deck to guide us through this ancient story, and the way Tenali maneuvers here is just brilliant. Let's get right to it. Okay, let's dive into this. Picture this, the vibrant, bustling royal court of King Krishnadevaraya. Into this grand setting walks a visiting scholar, and he is just brimming with immense pride. He stands before the king and the entire assembly, throwing down the ultimate gauntlet. He proclaims, "I have defeated scholars of many kingdoms. If anyone in your court passes my test, I will accept them as the wisest." He's entirely confident, maybe even a little overly confident. He's clearly not suffering from imposter syndrome, right? And he establishes incredibly high stakes right off the bat, challenging the intellectual might of the entire kingdom. Part 1. The Arrogant Scholar in Court, where Tenali Rama accepts the ultimate challenge. So the king immediately turns to his most trusted mind, Tenali Rama. Now, Tenali Rama doesn't cower or look nervous. Instead, he simply steps forward with a calm, knowing smile. The arrogant scholar looks at him and lays down a brutal condition. He says, "I will ask you 4 questions. If you fail to answer even a single one, you must accept total defeat." Think about that pressure. Just one slip-up means the entire kingdom loses face. But Tenali Rama, completely unbothered, simply replies, "Accepted." Moving right into part 2, the fastest and the greatest. The intellectual duel begins. Now, for this first half of the mystery, we're focusing on 2 major worldly questions. As we go through these, I actually want you to play along. I challenge you to actively try and guess the answers before I reveal how Tenali Rama responded. Do you think you can match wits with one of history's cleverest figures? Well, let's find out. So, here comes the scholar's very first test. He looks right at Tenali Rama and asks, "What runs the fastest in the world?" Now, I want you to take a second and really think about this. What would your answer be? A cheetah? A falling apple? Maybe sound? Just hold your answer in your head for a second. The answer Tenali Rama gives is this: the mind. He explains that in a single moment, the human mind can travel the entire world. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it immediately shifts the whole battleground. The scholar was likely expecting a physical answer, something measurable in the natural world. But Tenali Rama elevates the conversation to a profound philosophical truth. In a fraction of a second, your mind can be on the other side of the planet, recalling a memory or imagining a future. The scholar simply nods. He kind of has to admit, it's the perfect answer. But, the scholar isn't done yet. He immediately launches his second strike to keep the pressure on. He asks, "What is the greatest weapon?" Again, take a quick pause. In an era of huge empires, kings, and massive armies, what would you say is the absolute ultimate weapon? Tenali Rama replies completely without hesitation: intelligence. And this brilliantly illustrates the vast difference in how these 2 men actually view power. The scholar, representing conventional thinking, might rely on a sword, because a sword can undoubtedly win a war. But Tenali Rama argues that intellect is far superior because it can bring victory without a war ever having to be fought at all. It's the ultimate strategic advantage. Mental acuity over physical force, every single time. Which brings us to part 3, the greatest enemy and fool. The riddles turn inward. Having just lost those first 2 rounds about the external world, speed and weaponry, the scholar realizes he needs to completely change his tactics. The narrative stakes are really rising now. For the second half of this test, the scholar decides to move away from the physical world. He turns the riddles entirely inward, deciding to test Tenali Rama on human nature and the internal world of the mind. The tension in the court is just palpable as the scholar delivers his third question. Who is the greatest enemy? Think about this for yourself. Who or what is your greatest enemy? Is it a rival? A competitor? Tenali Rama answers, human ego. So the crucial point is that this is exactly what stops a person from learning, and ultimately it becomes the real cause of their defeat. Arrogance literally blinds us to true wisdom. When we think we're better than others, we close ourselves off to new ideas, new perspectives, and any chance of growth. It's totally a self-inflicted wound. The scholar is now 3 questions down,
and you can just imagine the realization slowly washing over him.
Desperate to trap Tenali Rama and save his own reputation, the scholar delivers his fourth and final question, the ultimate test. He asks, "And who is the greatest fool?" The entire room just hangs on this moment. Tenali Rama just smiles. He looks directly at the scholar and defines a fool perfectly. He says a fool is one who thinks they know everything and needs to learn nothing more from anyone. Let's move to and see how this builds, because this specific definition completely dismantles the scholar's initial arrogance. Remember how the scholar entered the court, boasting that he had defeated everyone, demanding to be recognized as the absolute wisest. Tenali Rama didn't just answer the riddle. He held up a mirror directly to the scholar's own behavior. Part 4. True Knowledge and Humility. The royal court falls completely silent. Upon hearing this final answer, the source material tells us that the entire royal court fell completely silent. It was a stunned, heavy silence. The intellectual sparring was officially over. The arrogant scholar stood there for a few moments, entirely quiet, processing the immense weight of Tenali Rama's words. He had been thoroughly outmatched, not by aggression, but by pure, undeniable wisdom. The scholar then does something totally unexpected for a man who walked in so incredibly full of pride. He bows his head in surrender. He looks at his opponent and says, "Tenali Rama, today you didn't just defeat me, but taught me a great life lesson." It's a really beautiful moment of humbling realization. King Krishnadevaraya, thoroughly impressed and proud of his courtier, highly honors and rewards Tenali Rama for his incredible intellect. Looking back at the source material, this whole duel basically distills down to two really powerful takeaways that we can apply right now. First, a true wise person is ready to learn lifelong. The moment you stop being a student, you lose. And second, ego is the biggest enemy of knowledge. The scholar lost the very moment he believed he had nothing left to learn. Tenali Rama won because his mind remained open, observant, and devoid of the very arrogance that traps us. Which brings us to the end of our explainer, and I want to leave you with a thought directly inspired by this timeless wisdom. Look inward for a second. Is your ego stopping you from learning something new today? Are you closing yourself off to a new skill, a different perspective, or a helpful piece of feedback just because you think you already know best? Stay humble, stay incredibly curious, and never stop learning. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one.